Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Cam. Gonna have to talk some UFC 264, aren't we? Conor ultimately gets defeated by TKO in the first round. Freak TKO as his tibia and his fibula breaks. Who knows what happened there? John Kavanagh doesn't know. Do you know? Did Dustin check it with his elbow? Was it one of the earlier, more aggressive kicks that Conor threw that Dustin checked with his leg? I don't know. Kavanagh seems to think, or intimated even, that Conor might have gone into the fight with an issue, that there might have been a hairline fracture even before the fight kicked off. I don't even know. I don't know. All I know is that Conor McGregor is the best hammer in the world and potentially one of the worst nails. He's proven himself now time and time again to not be that guy. He's not clutch enough, right? He doesn't have the ability to bite down on his gum shield and overturn. He can't see his victory from the jaws of defeat. He's just not that guy. And let me play you this actually quickly. This reminds me a lot. Bear in mind, for context, Teddy Atlas here isn't talking about Conor. Of course, he's talking about Mike Tyson, but nevertheless, there are parallels that we can all draw between what Teddy says and the young Irishman, Conor McGregor.
That I don't think that you know crap about somebody until they're tested. You don't know if they're your friend. You don't know if they're a good wife. You don't know if they're a good girlfriend. You don't know crap. You think you do, but until they're really tested, you don't really know. And Tyson, when he got tested, when he had to overcome something, when he didn't run him over like one of those big monster trucks running over a Volkswagen, because he was a monster truck with Volkswagens. Yeah,
With
he
analogy.
was. Yeah, he was. And was he one of the greatest punchers of all time? Yeah, yes. Could he punch from either side of the plate like Mickey Mantle, the greatest switch hitter? Was he that in body? Yes. He could punch evenly, great with either hand from either side. Was he all those things? Yes. Was he as great an intimidator as Sonny Liston? Yes. Was he a great finisher like Joe Louis to a certain extent? Yes. But he wasn't a great fighter. Because great fighters, when the fight came to them, they found a way to do what they had to do.
Wow. Teddy's dropped it hot, man. Jeez. And very poignant in the way he delivers it, right? How can you not draw parallels between what Teddy's just said and Conor McGregor? Conor McGregor wants amongst the best pound for pound mixed martial artists in the world, has now, for me, become a bit of a laughing stock, if I'm honest. Because not because of the fact that he loses. Like, casual MMA fans will always begrudge a man a loss, especially a previously undefeated, or until fairly recently, an undefeated mixed martial artist like Conor McGregor. Undefeated in the UFC, that is. What I don't like is the way that Conor McGregor's losing. You can't be doing the Billy strut and threatening threatening your opponents that they're going to leave on stretchers if, when times get hard in a fight, like Teddy Atlas has just spelled out for Tyson, you find the way out. And I'm not sure that at UFC 264 we saw anything different. Checked out, man. When it got hard on the feet, so you've come out and you've tried to run over, per Teddy Atlas's analogy, like a Ford truck. You tried to run over Dustin, and when it hasn't happened, you wanted the clinch. You wanted the clinch, and you did the desperation guillotine choke submission, didn't you? That's not your forte, mate. Yeah, you're not fantastic in the clinch. So why are you clinching? I get it. You're clinching because Dustin tagged you and you were seeking a safe haven, just like you did with Nate previously in the first fight. So, I don't know. Let's have a listen to what John Anik, Florian, and Kenny Florian podcast. One of the best MMA podcasts out there. John Anik is such, he's almost got an encyclopedic knowledge of MMA. He's a brilliant handicapper, loves a bet, which I'm also fairly fond of. Love listening to the dude. He's the perfect play, but God bless Goldie, because we all love Goldie. We didn't know that Goldie wasn't the gold standard until, no pun intended, until John Anik came along. But John Anik is now the gold standard in mixed martial arts commentary. Maybe you could argue Maro's in and around, but I'd put John Anik number one. I love listening to him. I rate the guy very highly. However, I'm going to play some clips on here that I feel are a little bit controversial from Anik and Ken Flo.
And again, for people who suggest that Conor McGregor is no longer an elite lightweight, you don't want to hear about a fourth fight between these two guys.
I do not want to hear about a fourth fight between Dustin and Conor. This was an anticlimactic for me. The end had been coming. Had Herb Dean stepped in and put an end to that fight, no one, apart from Conor McGregor and the team, I feel, would have been complaining. It was very similar to the way that Khabib finished him off. He wasn't offering any resistance until, okay, fair play, Dustin let him up. But let him up because Conor was putting his fingers deep into Dustin's gloves, which is a bit dirty, and nobody likes a dirty fighter.
And certainly Dustin Poirier has primary business to attend to right now, the undisputed title fight with Charles Oliveira. My expectation, my speculation would be that fight would be in December. I think Dustin has earned some time off. Maybe he would even squeeze it to January, but given the fact that Charles Oliveira won the belt in March, I don't know that they would idle him for the rest of the year, right?
Yeah.
And I also think the fight game is such, right? That watch Islam, I can't say his last name yet, do something special this weekend. Who knows? He could be fighting.
That would upset me if Dana did that. I know Dana does have a penchant for throwing spanner in the works when it comes to number one contenders, but Dustin is the number one contender. He fights Charles Oliveira next. I don't want to hear anything else. Dana White. Don't want to hear it. Meritocracy this time. Dustin's earned it, please.
For the title. No, it's going to be Dustin and Charles. We're going to get into all of that. We got Kavanaugh Sound obviously coming up in terms of the leg stuff, but I have a few notes, if you can believe that. 10-8 round on 2 of the 3 judges' scorecards. Okay, so the best judge of the 3, in my humble opinion, that was scoring this fight was Sal D'Amato. He had it a 10-9. We are in this era where the language has changed. Judges are encouraged by the new language to be more liberal with 10-8 rounds. And, because of that reality, I can sit here and say, I guess I'm okay with somebody scoring it at 10-8. That's not a 10-8 round for me, Ken Flo. Conor McGregor got too much done on the feet in an effective striking situation for that to be 10-8.
Strong disagree there, John. Love you to bits, mate. But by virtue of the fact that Herb Dean could have stepped in and stopped that fight at any point within the last 60 seconds when it was on the floor, you've got to give a 10-8 for me. Conor offered little to no resistance on the ground. Dustin was teeing off on him. Looks like a 10-8. Okay, so you caveat it with the fact that Conor showed flashes earlier on. But if you're a Pride GP fan like I am, you're always going to score based upon who's winning the fight, not just the fight at the end, but towards the end of the round. You can see who's won that round because they're in the ascendancy, right? Conor had nothing for him. Nothing. Disagree, John Anik. Love you to bits, mate, but nah.
I do think, though, the elbows, right? And I would also say, too, Conor McGregor, say what you want about the guillotine, but it does count as a submission attempt.
Rubbish, John. What's happened there is that Conor's thrown up something in desperation because he's got zinged, right? He's been zinged. Let's just very quickly look at the definition of a 10-8 round. So I know the 10-8 rules have changed ever so slightly. But in 2012, so John's saying, I'm not going to read all of this 2017 criteria, but let's look at the 2012 as the rules were. So a round is to be scored as a 10-8 round when a contestant wins by a large margin. Subjectively, I think I could argue that in that first round. By effective striking and or effective grappling that have great impact on the opponent. So Conor was finished. He was done for. Don't know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't know how many hip escapes you've done in your life. I don't know, what you think about his inability to have any sort of plan B.
I'll tell you what I think, John. I think it's ridiculous. I think for the blueprint on how to beat Conor now to be out there, and Conor not go away and do anything about A, his takedown defense, and B, his ability to get up off of the floor is ridiculous. He's gonna keep letting people beat you that way. Does that make sense? And your stamina as well, because don't get it twisted. Before the leg broke, it looked like it was gassing to me. And again, it's hard to fight when you got like somebody's on you, like you're on the floor, and that's not your game. I get it, bruv, but fix them things, man. This is old news. Stamina's not your game. Takedown defense is rubbish, and you can't get up from your back. You can't fix one of those at least, Conor. Poor form, mate.
What do you have for us on that?
Yeah, I mean, there's always work to do on the ground, right? I mean, it's such a tough spot, and he was in a tough spot up against the cage there, which could really be a lot of your escapes, a lot of your movement, a lot of your submission attacks can be nullified quite well there. I thought Conor did okay there.
Ken Flo, what are we doing here, mate? He wasn't even as good as he was on the floor and in the takedown defense versus Khabib. So we're saying that he's regressed since then. Oh, okay, so the Conor fans will say that was a more focused camp for Khabib. Obviously, it was wrestling and it was takedown defense. But in between fights, mate, come off, like stop going on yachts and jet setting, and like find yourself in some tough positions. Have a word with DC, man. find yourself a good wrestling camp, some dudes that are going to take you through the ringer and show you something. Learn, surely. This is the role of the modern mixed martial artist, just like GSP, just like GSP used to do back in the day, right? He would go out of his way to find the hardest camps. He would travel from Canada to New York to go and train with Henzo. And then he would find himself back with Faraz, and he would train with Chael and like he's training with the people that are best in the world. These are best in class. Conor's not doing that. Because if he was, you'd see him prove it in his game. Conor, here's what I bet. I've never been to SBG and I can't talk for, but here's my guess if I'm a gambling man. Conor at SBG is the guy, right? And there is no one there to test him. His camp is his camp. He runs camp and he does what he says he's going to do when he says he's going to do it under his own instruction. And that won't get you anywhere. You want to be in a camp like Faraz and George, where Faraz is giving $5,000 or offering $5,000 to fighters that can knock George out. That's what you want. You want challenge. Not getting that kind of, and you can see it manifest very clearly in the way that you fight in big man, because you're not improving.
Defensively, I would have liked to seen a little bit more when you put your feet on the hips to be able to bridge a little bit more, get your hips up, to give yourself more distance. So
already made that's far too technical.
Landed like that.
Far too technical, man. Gotta go away and learn that and drill it and practice it. Connor's not doing those things.
I think that he would have been much better off giving himself a bridge when he did have those feet on the hips. But Dustin, obviously a powerful guy. He was holding the head really well. He was posturing up really well. And part of that is because of the good things Dustin was doing. And part of it was some of the things that Conor may have ignored. But more impressively, John, is that he was eating big elbows, but there was never a point in the face of Conor McGregor where it looked like he wanted to go home. He was in that fight to win it the whole.
It can flow. So you're giving top of the food chain mixed martial artists credit for not giving up. Isn't that what you're supposed to do? Tell me I'm wrong here, lads. Am I misinterpreting what Ken Flo is saying here? You can't. This is a function of the decline of Conor McGregor. That Conor McGregor shills, love and respect to Ken Flo and John Anik, are now trying to give a dude credit because he wasn't showing signs of give up like he'd done in previous fights. And the joke is I'd even disagree with that point.
Whole damn time, man. And he just seemed like he was there and he was going to try to fight throughout that whole process. I mean,
well, he's a fighter. champ. What else is he supposed to do, Ken?
Even with the leg, I mean, how many people do a post-fight interview with a broken tib fib? How many? Have you heard from anybody? You don't hear from anybody until like a day or two after.
So Ken Flo, whilst you're right still, I'm not sure you're going to give him gold star for bravery for interviewing, only because his intentions, right? He's an attention seeker by nature. So his need for the airtime will outweigh, especially since he's still adrenaline fueled, coming off the back of the fight, the pain that's coming that he's getting from his broken tibia fibia. Hard disagree, Ken Flo.
Yeah.
He's doing a freaking interview in the octagon with a broken tib fib. Let's put that in perspective. He's yelling. He's promoting his next fight.
So no, Ken Flo, let's not do this. He's not promoting his next fight. What he's doing is threatening to kill Dustin Poirier still, just like he threatened Dustin with leaving the octagon on a stretcher. Karma is a mirror. Great quote from Dustin. He shouldn't be doing that. He shouldn't be doing that. Only a couple of years ago, his wit and humour and charisma was better than that. He was better than that. He was much more likeable in the way that he'd get at opponents. This stuff is just base level, man. He feels like he's run out of material. I'm not sure I can give him credit for promoting the fight, Ken Flo, with a broken tibia fibia, only because he's telling Dustin he's going to see his wife after. He's telling Dustin and his wife that he's going to kill them in their sleep, or intimating at least. Behave yourself, Ken Flo. No credit for that, big man.
With a broken tib fib. And I'm not trying to turn him into a hero or anything like
But
that.
you are. No, Ken Flo. That's exactly what you are doing.
The amount of toughness and the intensity in that man to go through that and do that, I mean, it is insane. Okay?
Oh, Ken Flo. Conor Shilleny.
Just to move on a stretcher with a broken tib fib is probably one of the most painful things any human can go through. It's not fun, I imagine. So he was there to win that night. It was unfortunate all the way around. And listen, what you could talk about what he said in the octagon and all that stuff.
Right.
That's fair.
Separate it.
Right, that's fair. But this guy he's been playing the game, and if you don't understand who Conor McGregor is at this point and what he's done, to promote himself, then I don't know what to tell you.
So Ken Flo, on the contrary, mate, on the contrary, I think we understand exactly who Conor McGregor is now in long form, being that he's a brilliant hammer, a bully. If he can goad you into some sort of nervousness and anxiety before the fight, brilliant, happy days. However, if that doesn't work, if plan A doesn't work, which is to come out and knock you out within the first half of first round, got nothing, bro. No plan B, no takedown defense, zero resilience that I can see. That's who Conor McGregor is, really. Let me try and draw it this way quickly. There is footage of him after the fight. So let's speak to Conor McGregor is really the Ken Flo. Let's have a listen to this. I hope you guys can hear this.
I want your thoughts on the fight against...
In your sleep. In your sleep, you're getting it, yeah?
First of all, congratulations on a very impressive victory.
That's enough, Conor. He says, in your sleep, you're getting it. It ain't over. Dustin saying it, he's giving it this one as well, spelling out very clearly what he intends to do to Dustin. I don't know, man. When can promotion go too far? Open question. Drop me in the comments, man, and let me know. That for me feels a bit too far. Only because, let's not get it twisted. This is not a joke. You don't play fighting. Kai, you can die in there. You can die in there because people have died in there before. Not just boxing, in the octagon. Granted, we've been lucky of late in that octagon deaths are kind of far and few between. The refereeing, for the most part, has been like punctual, a little bit late sometimes, but nevertheless saved fighters for the most part from any serious neurological injury. But nevertheless, it will happen someday. It will happen someday. Not that I want it to do. God forbid it happens in my lifetime, but somebody will die in that octagon. So this isn't something to joke about, Conor. For me, you've overstepped the mark. But hey, that's what Conor McGregor is, isn't he?
He's been the bad guy. He's the ultimate bad guy. That's his role. Know what you're looking at.
And he's fighting one of the best fighters that I've ever seen, who has 20 UFC wins against 6 UFC losses. And
you know, John, officially you are a Conor McGregor shill. Love you to bits, my man. But we're just trying to give Conor credit here, right?
Dustin Poirier, right? Can we at least compartmentalize that part of the matchup and understand that Conor McGregor, there are plenty of, in my opinion, and I hope that, fellow top 15 lightweights don't get offended by this, but I believe you and I talked about this a little bit. There are plenty of guys in the top 15 of lightweight that Conor can still beat, folks. Like, I hate to break it to you. And I guess for me, and again, depending on, where you fall on all of this, Anik's either like a McGregor shill or I'm
the former, mate.
Anti-Conor,
no,
right?
Definitely the former, John.
So, like, I'm no longer sensitive to anybody's feelings on this. But, like, people
nor
just
should
want
you
to
be.
knock this man, maybe because he says things that you don't like and he brings family into it. He talks about a fatality in the octagon. I'm talking about Conor McGregor, the fighter.
Or maybe people want to knock him, John, because he's just not that good. Because there is a mismatch between the way he carries himself now as the best fighters or one of the best fighters in the world and the way that he performs in the octagon. I think that's why diehards will knock him, because of that mismatch.
And so is Kenny, right? And if you don't have respect for the toughness to stick around to do the interview, the way he stuck around on Fight Island to face the music, this man wants to fight. This man made a $500,000 philanthropic effort towards.
But he didn't make it, did he? That's the issue. To my mind, what happened is that he offered to make it pre-fight, and then post-fight, when Dustin's people were contacting Conor's people to follow up on the promise, Conor's people ghosted, radio silence for them, at which point Dustin started trying to prompt a follow-through on social media. Conor thought he was going to spite him by donating to a rival charity based in Louisiana. Water off a duck's back to Justin. He just wanted to see charity in his area, right? He doesn't care whether it's, obviously prefer that it's his charity, but Dustin is too mature a man now to start, I don't know, splitting hairs on philanthropic activities. And also, let me add, that showed through in the pre-fight conferences. Normally, Conor in his most wicked would get to, like he did with Jose Aldo, right? He would get to his opposition. He would somehow, you would see the angst, you could see it in Jose Aldo's eyes. Nothing of the sort with Dustin. Dustin even quipped that Conor's wit used to be much stronger. Nothing to me. Don't care, mate. What, you think you're going to DM my wife? Mate, what do you want about? Not happening.
Dustin, and I don't know the inner workings of why there was a little gap in the payment or whatever the fuck, Dustin chose to potentially jump the gun in Conor's mind, and that added sort of a personal layer to this rivalry, and you can see Conor is legitimately mad at this man. I don't know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, to say that, to disrespect Conor and his...
Kevin Flo, we're not going to start talking about Dustin disrespecting Conor by asking where the money is that you promised me pre-fight. That's not disrespect. What's disrespect is saying that you're going to kill somebody. He's talking about somebody's wife in a way that Conor did. That's disrespect. Genuine disrespect. So yeah, in conclusion, Conor takes another round. He's now 3. He's now 1 in his last 4, isn't he? 2 losses to Dustin. The win to Cowboy, and then previously Khabib. So he's now lost 3 of, world class, yeah. And again, what's concerning for me is not that he's losing or who he's losing to, because obviously Dustin, Khabib are all world class fighters, right? At the very top of the food chain, guys. What's disconcerting, however, is the way that Conor's losing. There's always been, the knock on him has always been, if you get him into a fight, just like Teddy Atlas spells out with Tyson, you're going to find out who he is. He's going to give up on himself. That's who Conor is. He's a brilliant hammer, not such a good nail. He's never going to bite down on his gum shield and gut it out and overturn. He's never going to seize victory from the jaws of defeat. Can't overturn a difficult situation. And that's what I think we're seeing brought to bear here. And that's sad because MMA is a much better place. The landscape is much greener when Conor's on top form and winning. So in that sense, it is quite sad. What happens next? Why? I wouldn't be surprised that if Chap goes away and retires now. Listen, he's a billionaire, man. Top of the Forbes list. As per Marvin Hagler, the late great, it's hard to wake up and train at 6 a.m. from silk sheets, right? So it's hard. Doesn't make sense. It's an illogical thing. Why would you put yourself through that when you're set? Your kids are set. Your kids are set. Done really well, Conor. Maybe you don't need to fight anymore. Anyway, I will leave you with that. Like, comment, and subscribe always. Really appreciate it. Let's beat up that YouTube algorithm like Dustin beat up Conor. I'm going to start trying to do weekly videos on this, at least, if not at least a couple of times a week. So I've got a lot to say on mixed martial arts, and I sense that there are some. There are going to be some duos on here, back and forth, lots of debate on all things mixed martial arts. So hopefully some good videos to come. Been Cameron. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.